Hello, everybody. We're here with another fantastic episode of the Apex Coalition show for y'all. I'm joined with a special Thanksgiving ensemble of. Unfortunately, Kern made it, but we do have the honor of welcoming Jonah and Hunter back to the show. Gentlemen, it's a pleasure. Um, Now, Hunter, I don't want to spoil this to folks because I don't think we're going to get to enjoy it this evening. But would you like to give a sneak peek of what you've been working on?
Yeah. So, guys, I've been working long and hard. I'm putting in a lot of hours every day. Been taking saxophone lessons here, and I learned a little number just for the Apex listeners at home. But we're dealing with Discord, which is a PC platform, and they do not allow certain tunes to be broadcast.
So we apparently have been having some technical difficulties with actually allowing Hunter to record his saxophone over the microphone. But
was that the big surprise that he was talking about?
we will give it a little try here.
Yeah, give us a few notes. See, it just cuts right out. You hear those first three notes every time, and then it's gone.
It cuts square out after the third note.
Yeah, straight up every time. Yeah, it's because it senses you're not talking, so it's like, oh, that's not a voice. Let's noise cancel it.
But no, it senses that this is a rebellion song. And
Sweet Jesus, we gotta move this along. I'm ready to talk about some matchups and get into the thick of it. Goon, that surprise sucked ass.
Dude, the surprise would have been fucking fire if it would let me hit it.
Yeah,
I can play Dixie top to bottom on the saxophone.
Discord kind of let you down there, Hunter, but I do want to get into it here. I've got our matchups that just happened this week, just to briefly recap of the situation. We actually have an unfortunate pairing in the call right now. Jonah, you had a hell of a week with 123 points, but Hunter decided to drop a 155 burger.
Look. Hunter has 4 players, and all 4 of them happen to go off. That's no fault of my own. I think Aaron Rodgers decided to come back from COVID, and he teamed up with Dirty Cook and decided to just drop hella points against me.
Yeah.
And then Justin Jefferson decided to sink his mean, ugly face into the situation.
Yeah.
And
that's a big game for him. And
Austin Eckler. Eckler managed to drop down Pittsburgh's D for me a little bit, but you know, the points don't really match up the way that it should. No. Like, that should have been a wash.
Yeah. Yeah, that should have just equaled out. Sure. Yeah, of course. Well, that, of course, I don't know. What do you got, Hunter?
Look, I got something to say. You know, I haven't been podcasting in a couple weeks. You know, it's been a few weeks, actually. But I've been a faithful listener to the hate spewed by Aaron and Jack week in and week out about my team.
Yeah.
And that right now, this is God's plan. This is God's plan. This is what we envisioned on draft day. You know?
Just beating me. That's it.
Yeah, beating Jonah.
Yeah, you're not going anywhere else than that. Like, you got bragging rights over my shit team. Congrats.
But not only do I have bragging rights over your team, but last week, Kern happened last week. Well,
Kern,
yeah, he did.
Kern, what did happen in week 10? Did you play Hunter by chance?
Let me go back and look. I forgot about week 10. Yeah, what happened week 10?
Yeah,
that was tough. I started Raiders defense versus Kansas City. That was tough.
Ex-Predator of week 10. Me.
ANF, I had this big vision that the so-called elite pass rush of the Raiders was going to continue to give cheat code woes, and boy, did that not work out. And so,
well, Kern, I don't have the Raiders like that matchup of y'all's pulled up right now. How did the Raiders do?
They got me -8 points, but that's not even the start of it. And then you had A.J. Brown and Tyler Lockett kind of bust a little bit, and it was a very, very down week last week. It was tough to see.
Yeah.
You see, Raiders
Lamar Jackson got the shit kicked out of him by Miami. They blitzed every single play. A very strange week, but you'll take it.
Raiders pass rush is fueled by racism, and after cutting out John Gruden, they just died.
Yeah, there was a big bounce back from old cheat code. Look at that, 41 points and 516 yards allowed. I was 1 point away from having the worst defense started, just of -9 points altogether. So a few things fueled it. I think I gave Goon a little toss up there, but
Look, you
good
say
on
you
you, game.
gave me a toss up, but I would have beat anybody in the league that week.
That's a good point. That's a good point. That is
I
what
mean,
Apex means.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean
but
middle of
look
the
at
pyramid.
the bench. I beat myself. I could have just started other players and I would have beaten your ass, but I didn't. For some reason I don't know. I fucking trusted Tyler Lockett his first week back against Green Bay. It was gonna be a shootout. That failed, and then AJ Brown got dinged up, and Goon.
That frankly, man, that's what you get. I mean, when you have too many options to start, you fucking confuse yourself and you hurt yourself in the confusion.
Well, I didn't confuse myself very much this week, now did I? But we'll get to week 11, I guess, in a second.
Well, Kurt, and let me ask you this, because on our last episode, you were predicting the fall of Dustin and this great ascension for yourself. Surely by this point, you've passed Dustin in the standings, right?
Look. I haven't passed Dustin in the standings, and Dustin's team has been okay. But I do have more points.
Hunter still thinks you're talking about him.
Point score does not matter, Hunter. You know this. Dustin's got an easy schedule, but he's still performing. He's still winning.
I mean,
and that's with Derrick Henry going down.
Is he performing or is he winning? He is.
If you look at his,
but is he?
So I don't know if you can do this on your screen for the viewers, but if you pull up his schedule, you can see his actual week 11, 10, 9, 8, just from week 7 on, it's he's had the most cakewalk matchups you could imagine. And I mean, look, that is part of it. To Jonah's point, that's just part of the game. You can't dog on it. It's what we've all dealt with it. I've had years where I've had matchups like that, and vice versa. And you can't hate on it. And he does have a very nice team. He's adjusted well to the Derrick Henry injury. And now he enters the division matchup against K. Cole without the Cardinals, and he's got me and Cornman. So, look, I'm fully expecting him to remain the division leader going into the playoffs. I am not expecting I'll catch him.
Division leader, hasn't he secured a playoff berth at this point?
Not quite yet.
No, he could lose out.
And K. Cole could slide in.
Well, I mean, there's a number of things that could cause him to still miss if he goes the wild card. So
I mean, there's still a possibility that I win. It's the slimmest of chances, and a lot of people have to not score any points, but it's still there.
No one's out. Who's mathematically out? I think
Monstar, unfortunately, I think that the coffin's closed there.
Yeah. Honestly,
everyone who's got.
That's the safest bet in sports, is that making the playoffs.
Oh no! I mean, but true. Sorry, Monstar, but bodied.
4 wins. 4 wins, you're still alive. But yeah, I mean, Dusty could lose out. He'd be 9-5, and K. Cole could win out and overtake him with his point advantage, and then I think that's really it. I don't know. Well, let me see. Yeah, it had to be K. Cole. But no, he's basically locked it up. He's basically locked it up. I had dreams of being the division leader. It was dope. But I mean, look, if I'm forced to be the 4th seed and face him in the first round of the playoffs, I will do that. But we're still taking it game by game.
Well, no, Karen, I want to make sure we stay on the same page with you here, because Jonah and Hunter, I mean, I don't know how much of these past episodes you've watched, but I mean, last episode, I mean, we just got a soapbox from Kern about how elite his team was and how bad the rest of the division was. That includes you, Jonah, by the way.
I'm terrible this year. I accept that.
Well, let's not give.
I'm tanking.
I don't think
I dogged.
We'll talk about that later.
I don't think I dogged the division as much, but you can continue.
Yeah, I mean, you dogged it. You dogged it.
I said it's a tough division.
What I will say is, Kern, I mean, you're 7-4. It's really not that good of a record. What are you giving your chances of actually making playoffs?
I mean, I'm pretty safely the point leader now, which feels good again. I mean, I'm kind of back. This is kind of just like a par for the course current season A&F, where I'm leading in points. I've got a dope team. I just, it's a matchup game of will I let K. Cole catch up to me or Cornman catch up to me or any of these other wild card, or will I dominate the division matchup?
I
And
mean,
Look, K. Cole and I are not catching up to you. JT is have an MVP season. All that I'm happy about is that we got rid of forever keepers, and you can't keep JT.
That is, Jonah, you are. I would keep JT and Swift until the end of time. So that's a very good point.
That was the whole point. That was
absolutely,
what 100%. That's what I bitched about for years. Is that you'd keep them indefinitely.
I totally look.
Kern,
It's beautiful.
JT's on bye when you play K. Cole. Thoughts?
Oh no, heavens me! I guess I'll have to start someone else. I don't know. A&F, I'm sorry, but look at my team. It's pretty fucking sick. Like I don't know what to tell you. I'm like very securely in first for points right now, and I'm dealing with a fuck magic Dusty team that keeps beating teams that are scoring 80
Kern,
points. Dusty, I love you, but I just don't know how much longer you're going to hold the division. But if you do hold the division, honestly, it'd be nice because then we could challenge each other in the wild card, and we'll see what happens.
Kern, I know I just plugged this into a calculator, given the teams and players, but it's saying that Hunter and I at 5 and 6 are more likely to make the playoffs than your team.
It is very interesting, A&F, and maybe Jonah and Hunter can speak to it, but look, Whippy's got a good team, but as someone who owns Buffalo Stonks in other leagues, as someone I own the Josh Allen and Dig stack in that Dynasty League we're in, and it's frustrating as fuck because it's like you have so much expectation in that stack, and it's not doing what we want it to do, and I mean, I still think he has it, but I mean, you're coming up hot enough. You have a healthy team now. You've got Kittle. You've got Cup.
I've got Devontae Freeman.
Mighty impressive. You've got Devontae Freeman.
Ty Johnson.
Somehow, I mean, Ty Johnson actually has legs right now because of the whole fucking Michael Carter injury. So, I mean, what do you boys think about A&F coming in and maybe upsetting Lippy over the next 3 weeks and securing the Pinkertons' division lead?
It could happen, dude. It could definitely happen. I mean, Littman loses 2. Well, I mean, shit, he's got a big points for lead on you.
It's a big point advantage.
So he's going to have to lose out. Lippy loses out, and that does it for you. You sneak in. You sneak in into the number 1 spot, Cantina.
I mean, I'm not saying anything, but like Lippy's got a pretty easy schedule moving forward. He's got Neil next week. He's got Monstar the next week.
Yeah.
And he's got A&F week 14. So, like, what are you going to do about it? Like,
yeah.
He's going to beat Neil or Monstar, and then he, like, makes it.
Yeah. Lippy's got, like, a 90% chance of still making the playoffs, I think. Like this isn't, like, at all in the likeliness, but, like, crazier things have happened. He's on a 2-game losing streak.
I mean, Nick Chubb and David Montgomery both have had injuries all this season, so there's like a very good chance that both of them spontaneously combust and then he's fucked. But like, other than that, like with Allen and Diggs, that's a solid receiver core.
Yeah. It could happen.
Yeah, he kind of ate all his bye weeks too that 1 week against Golly, but he does lose.
Week 7.
He loses Chubb in week 13, which hurts because I guess he has Alex Collins. I mean, he can piece it together. Though. He's good. I mean, there's a reason he's the division leader. But A&F, you are technically live right now, and I mean, look, you're still live for the wild card too. If I mean, it'd be tough for our division to implode on itself. But I mean, and crazier things have happened.
I don't think I'm actually alive for the wild card.
Look, A&F, I'm rooting for you simply because no team that has 4 defenses should be in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm kind of playing the long game right now, and I'm doing it too. Look, like. Honestly, maybe I'm getting a little too comfy here, but I was kind of looking ahead, and I'm like, well, look, Dustin plays K. Cole next week. I kind of win either way if they beat each other in that matchup because, I need K. Cole to keep falling further behind. I need Dustin to fall further behind. And then, basically, I just need to win 2 games, so I felt kind of comfy. I am also hoarding 1, 2, 3, 4 defenses. I'm going to have to cut some, though, because I have some guys coming off IR, but, yeah, it feels a little dirty. Sidebar: we should vote next offseason on eliminating defenses because A&F, you are in some leagues with me where we don't have defenses, and it is awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, the Dynasty League that we're in has no defense, and I actually really like the super flex option.
Oh, Jonah, yes.
No.
So super flex would be fun.
Calm down now. Calm down
something
now.
that I kind of want to jump in and like kind of suggest is that I've been doing some research on leagues that have punters.
What?
As playable. I'm dead ass serious. Look into it. It's crazy.
What?
It's like punting within the 20 is like 1 point. Touchbacks is -3. Within the 10 is 2. Within the 5 is like punters are the new quarterbacks. Like I've seen leagues where people are drafting like in a snake. Drafting punters.
Joe, that's the title of the episode when it goes on YouTube. Punters are the new quarterbacks.
It was like watching Dogecoin. Like all went up and Joe had me for a second, then just.
I'm just telling, like, just for shits and giggles, look up the way punting scoring is done, and it's like there are people that watch NFL games. Like, it comes down to a Monday Night Football game, and people are watching the game just to see the punters kick a fucking ball. It's hilarious.
that will not be anyone in Apex.
You see, I had to suggest that just so that you guys would take IDP seriously, because I'm fucking tired of playing a whole team.
Yeah, I would rather IDP than punters. I can say that.
Look,
full
already sold A&F.
IDP and punters, that's both just new level of degeneracy. That like, if I get to the point where I'm watching an NFL football game to see if the punter kicks it within the 10-yard line, I'm gonna fuck.
Yeah. Sheesh. Well, we
should definitely delete defenses and anyway.
Yeah, we'll get rid of defenses soon. But I do want let's pivot to Helga's. Kind of in a similar situation, Hunter. First of all, you need some point help, but if you were to win out and Golly were to lose out, you could technically win that division. What's your confidence level, Hunter?
My confidence level of making the playoffs this year is about 0.
Yeah, you're starting Hunter Renfrow and Marvin Jones.
I before I went on my 2-game win streak that I was all in on Pikes Peak, and for the last half a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Hunter's the 8th seed in Pikes Peak.
Oh,
yeah, I'm 6th seed, but I'm also the hottest team. I've got like the second most points for in there. I've just had really shit luck with matchups. So, I'm hoping
You would need Golly to lose out, and you would have to outscore him by
130.
Yeah, like 30 points a game for the next
next 3 weeks.
35 points a game for the next 3 weeks to even sniff the chance of beating them out. So that's tough.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like if you're the points for leader and you're not the top of the division, that's just basically having an over the pants hand jibber. Congrats on.
No, it's tough. It's tough, Jonah. I'm sitting here at 7-4, potentially a game behind K. Cole for the wild card, and I'm outscoring Dustin by 200 points now, and it's just comical. But I mean,
this has been the Mormon soaking of Apex is being the points for leader, but not making playoffs.
6 game win streak, Dusty. There's a higher power Cinderella story just guiding you right now, and I am almost here for it. I will say, if I lose and I'm not in contention, Dusty is my number 1 ticket. I would love. He'd be the best person to win. It's the most wholesome person to come in, beat everyone who's already won. No heel of the league is gonna win. He's the most I don't know. He's the most
he would be the people's champ.
He would.
No.
It wouldn't get to his head. He'd be really proud about it. He'd be really humble and be like, "Oh, I lost to Derrick Henry. I tried really hard." "Oh, Dusty, good man."
It's like Nick Foles versus Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
we're all rooting for Nick Foles for no reason.
I am unapologetically rooting for Dustin to win it all this year, and I really hope that that he smashes Curran out of the playoffs to get that started.
Well, think about it, ANF. Look, your other option is Golly wins his second official.
I'd like Golly to win
real
too.
ring.
I'd like Golly to win too.
Also,
yeah.
Or Lippy wins his first ring, and then that would create a wonderful monster.
Look,
I'm scared of Lippy as champion. I'll say that now. I don't know what ramifications that has.
Yeah, next year's going to be so bad if Lippy wins.
I mean,
That's-
I think
that's what-
Lippy deserves a ring, but I'm just afraid of it.
So
I think
bad.
he deserves one, but I don't want it to happen. Not because he doesn't deserve it, but because I think life would be miserable.
Well, he's a heel.
Me. Yes.
He's a heel. There's league heels. Like, Jonah, you're a league heel. Goon's a league heel. I'm definitely a league heel. I'm probably...
Seems like a lot of heels in the league.
No one wants wants me to walk around
Dustin
posting
and Golly,
memes all over the place.
Dustin, Golly, and K. Cole are probably the only ones that everyone would be like, yeah, they could win. That's nice. That's good.
And Neil.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would love to see Neil to win one.
Neil, I think that's
I think he has
nice.
he has enough football smarts, but he struggles a little bit in the draft where he tries to pick out like key players and he overspends for them, and then it kind of handcuffs him a little bit.
His draft this year wasn't terrible. It just and he still has like his points for are pretty good. Like he's having a good year. He's gotten some pretty terrible breaks in the middle of the season too. So that really sucks, buddy.
Neil, if you're listening, I'm currently looking at your roster and you have 3 players on your bench that are out or on IR. And you have no IR slots filled. Go fucking raid the waiver.
I think that's a broken spirit right there. Let's talk about a team that doesn't have a lot of points for. That's Jack. He's got Patrick Mahomes. Curran, why is Mahomes so bad at football?
I mean, that's kind of why I started Raiders defense 2 weeks ago. But I mean, he's hit or miss. I mean, like it kind of looked like for a while that like teams just kind of figured him out and like they just double teamed Tyreek going deep, and it was just him forcing the ball deep to Tyreek and Kelsey, and there wasn't really a whole lot of like complexity to the offense. And I mean, he made a lot of mistakes, but then he comes back and throws 5 touchdowns, and they kind of have a unique offense with like the throwing to the running back and like doing cool other plays. And like, I mean, then last week it's like, I don't know, it's alarming and kind of strange, but I mean, he's targeting Tyreek 100 times a game, so I'm not complaining. But he was all in on that. His whole thing was he kept Mahomes over market value, like Dalvin Cook, which was at the time pretty aggressive. And he held his budget really tight during the draft. We all laughed about it because he had a formula that he was sticking with. I just feel like he wasn't very fluid or mobile during the draft. I think he went in there with a plan and just didn't adjust, and he's been kind of, and all it took was a few misses, and I mean, he missed on T. Higgins and missed on Trey Sermon, and I mean, now you're stuck with like, a very low ceiling team that will get you like 100 points a week, but I mean, he needs a lot to happen to blow up, and I think he knows that, and I think, he's going to evaluate, and he'll make some adjustments next year, and he's got some good keepers to hold on to next year. If you look at his IR spy, he's holding a bunch of, young dope keepers for next season. But yeah, currently 11th place.
Yeah, I mean that was my question. To go from champion to 60 points off being lowest points for, especially of the historic season that he had. I mean, this is just a question for the group at large, maybe, and especially with a group full. A call here. I'm joined by 3 former champions. Can someone explain how can this have happened?
Okay, so in my opinion, I'll just start off first because I'm an asshole. But in my opinion, I think whenever Jack went into the draft, like I remember because I had very limited funds towards the end, and I was going to try and make a keeper play. So like Michael Thomas, like what he drafted,
right?
J.K. Dobbins after he went down before the draft,
right?
Like those types of players. Jack held out and was going to bid on those players no matter what because he saw that as an investment, which it was. Like I think he got Michael Thomas for like $8.
Yeah,
and so I don't know if he was just banking on the 49ers running backs that he had to go off, or if he was just really playing for next year. But I think the biggest issue was that he kept Patrick Mahomes, and even though the Chiefs' offense, their O-line's like second in the league right now, and anytime you have Tyreek and Kelsey, you're going to go off as a quarterback. But the real issue is that the Chiefs' defense, right now, they're ranked 27th for points scored and 32 in total offensive yards. their defense is just not helping them out. So Patrick Mahomes is going to have to make a lot of risky plays, and I think that's where his picks are coming from.
Yeah.
And you can't really get any momentum going when you're always playing from behind.
Yeah.
And so you have your star cheat code quarterback making bad decisions trying to come back from a game like against the Raiders early on in the season. It's like there's no reason for him to be making those throws. And so he's got a star quarterback that is being absolutely demolished by his own defense. And then all of his draft dollars were saved up. Like, I don't think he spent all of his draft dollars. He was saving them up for keepers. And, like, T-Les did the same thing with Etienne and, like, trying to make some moves for the future. But, like, if you plan to, like, have something in your back pocket for next year, you're going to perish this year.
Yeah, well, it's almost like the keepers thing. Yeah, it sounds really bad. Let me ask you, Hunter, as a former champion yourself, do you think that Jack would maybe take back the decision to bid $28 on Damian Harris?
Well, yeah, I mean that was clearly terrible. But I mean his draft just overall was horrible. I mean, I remember after draft day, correct me if I'm wrong. General consensus was, he lost the draft.
I think that's universally agreed upon.
Oh, definitely, yeah. It was
the draft. People knew that Jack's team was going to be shit, and I agree with Jonah. That move to draft for keepers for next year, guys that were starting the season on IR. I mean, that's lunacy. You're losing 2 roster spots that could potentially be huge plays for you. I mean, there were plenty of guys for $2 that have done pretty decent this year. I mean, I got Hollywood dollars.
Yeah. And he just passed on so many good opportunities, and we're like, why aren't you bidding, Jack? And then all of a sudden, we get to the 9th or 10th round, and he's like throwing $1 more than everyone else has, like, together at players that are already on the R. Like, we all knew that Michael Thomas wasn't coming back this year. If he was, it was going to be at the late end of the season playoff push.
Yeah.
You have to be fluid, like with this year's draft, especially. Like, you just have to be fluid in these auction drafts. I mean, like, if you have good keepers, it's easier to do that. But I mean, he didn't have elite keepers this year. But I mean, yeah, and it's kind of like what I saw. And looking back when I had my big rant about fading running backs, I do understand. I was privileged to keep 2 solid keepers in that same sentiment, but because I didn't draft a high value third running back. But the reason I didn't draft a high-value third running back or go after Chris Carson or Javonte Williams is because, like, you were looking at the playing field. It's like the value just wasn't there. These running backs were going for fucking, like, $70, $80, and, like the price tags. Like, I'm looking at some of them, like, fucking, like, like Nick Chubb for 67, like Dalvin Cook for 77. Like, these are, like, this is, like, almost half your budget. And so, like, when everyone's focused on that and suddenly, like, Tyreek Hill falls to $49, like, you have to kind of change your plan. I was not planning on buying a premium wide receiver.
Right.
I'd never do.
I just want to like wipe the fog out of my eyes. Did we go from talking about Jack's draft to how good your draft was, Kern?
Well, let's pivot to some other team. I will look directly at Jonah's team because he had a good draft. Same thing. He went after, and credit to you, Jonah. You came in with 2 good keepers, and you probably saw the exact same thing. Because looking at your draft, you didn't spend a shit ton of money on premium running backs. You saw value at a $17 Keenan Allen and a $35 DK Metcalf. I think that's awesome. Everyone was focused on these fucking running backs, though, and, like, I mean, that's why you spend $59 on Zeke and fucking $68 on Kamara. Like, that is absolutely insane.
Kurt, how many years in a row did you market keep CMC for?
I think it was 4 years.
I kept him
I think it was 4 years.
I kept him for 3 years.
Yeah.
But I kept him for 3 years, but yeah, like, I paid the $80 for him.
Yeah, you ate the market value for him.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that's a technique, but I mean, like, when you are, I mean, it just wasn't the plan this year. Is if you went after it like that. I mean, look, all I'm saying is that he could have done that, but all right, look. Point at my draft all you want. Point at my previous drafts, or whatever. Point being, he wasn't fluid. He didn't adjust. He didn't draft anything else to make up for that. I at least went another route. Jonah went another route. Sure, when I kept CMC for all those years, I would keep CMC, but then I would at least have CMC. And I would draft another dope running back or draft some other, like, you just make plans for it. He stuck with stuck with a practice of I'm going to get value at these keepers going forward, and was stuck with like he just wouldn't pull the trigger on one of these running backs. I think he saw he had a price point for these elite running backs, and I mean I think we all saw at least our preliminary price points exploded and they got inflated out the ass. I mean, we can all kind of agree on that, and he just didn't adjust to it.
Well,
His adjustment was getting Raheem Mostert for $15 because he was the only starting running back left, and Damian Harris for 28 because he was the only running back left. And at that point,
Did
it's
he
like,
get
what the fuck
screwed
are you
out
gonna
of
do?
Damian Harris though?
No, that was intentional. Moving on,
T.O.?
wasn't T. Higgins an $18 draft pick? Let's ask this: will Jack or anyone be interested in keeping T. Higgins for $18? Thoughts on that?
No.
Of course not.
Yeah, I know.
He was also high on T. Higgins, and he absolutely was completely against Jamar Chase. We had debates about that all offseason. And I mean, like, it was something that he wasn't fluid on, though. He was like, I have
If Jamar Chase didn't do what he did, then yeah, T. Higgins is like a steal at 18.
Yeah.
We could all agree on that. Like, if Jamar Chase like played a normal rookie year as a wide receiver, then yeah, everyone would be like, oh yeah, T. Higgins, he's the Adam Thielen of that team. Like, you got to take him. But now it's like Justin Jefferson's that guy.
Yeah. I mean,
and look, I took Robert Woods for 24 and I took Tyler Lockett for 20, so I didn't like smash the draft. But I mean, like, looking at my draft day, I did something that I typically never do, and that was I paid up for these pass catchers, which I'd never fucking do, because the price point on the market for running backs was ridiculous. And you have to at least be fluid if you're gonna fade it, be fluid and do something else. I just don't think he was fluid, but I think next year he's smart enough to be fluid, and he will adjust, and I think he'll bounce back next year.
Well,
but boy, what a fall from grace!
I mean, exactly. That's what I'm saying, and I mean, just to focus on it, I think a lesson that could be learned here is Jack always has these players he just hates. Like last year, he hated Justin Herbert and wouldn't have touched him. He said even for $1. And I just wonder if that type of mindset could be harmful. And obviously, he did win last year, but not one to draft Herbert for $1. I mean, that's got to look silly now. I do want to move on to talk about kind of the divisions as a whole. There's been a lot of discussion about divisions, and Curran, Lippy, Jack, and I, we've talked each other's ears off about this. But let me since we've got two other folks here, let me ask y'all, Hunter and Jonah, would y'all change anything about the current division setup, or would y'all keep it the same? Do y'all have any other thoughts you'd like to do about playoffs? I'd love to get y'all's input because we kind of have an echo chamber of ideas sometimes.
I do like the division. I think it adds a different element to things, and I enjoy it. I think it's fun. An idea, this might be a supremely hot take, about the wild card seed, because, I mean, imagine Curran if K. Cole passes him and he's got 200 more points for. I mean, that would be supremely horrendous for Curran.
That'd be awesome.
What if we changed it where points for was the metric for wild card? Versus
like the highest person that's not a division leader.
Highest points for that isn't a division leader.
That's pretty interesting. I do like that. I was going to come back with what I reiterated before, the one time that I was on the show before, and for the fans that listened and loved me, you'll remember that I suggested switching up divisions from being 4 teams to 3 teams with a 6-team playoff with 2 wild cards. And I just feel like you play every single team twice, essentially, under that guise. And so I think reducing the divisions make it so that, like, the team that's in 4th place doesn't have to jump so far to get to that 1st place spot. Like, it makes it a little bit more competitive within division rounds and way more competitive outside of division, because now that you're playing so many different teams, like, you don't have to do a double up at least once, or I don't remember if it was double up or if it was a -1, like one team, like one, you don't play one of the teams in the league or whatever. But I think if you just shrunk it down to 3, expanded the playoffs a little bit, where the top 2 points for teams or the top two. I actually legitimately like Hunter's idea, like doing wild card by points for instead of by wins. It really just makes it interesting because if you make a last season push, like let's say like with me where I kind of struggled a little bit, and then all of a sudden these last 3 weeks that we have, I score Apex every single time, but I still don't have the wins to get in. Like my team is hot, and it will actually make a good run in the playoffs versus a team that like won early on and then everyone got hurt, and they're just going to be an easy win in the playoffs.
Well, so the other thing I'll say about that, I think the ideas are really interesting, and I really like the idea, if we were to change it, of making the remaining highest points for the wild card. But I don't know if the idea of just a team getting hot in the last 3 weeks should be incentivized, because that really devalues the rest of the season. Totally get what you're saying about a lame duck that's limping in the end of the season, but they had to get enough wins to get there in the first place. Kern, you told me one time that Apex would never be a 6-team playoff system. What are your thoughts on that idea?
A lot of leagues are doing it. I mean, it's like, I think that I appreciate the value that we've put into making the playoffs, and I look at all the leagues that I'm in that have 16 playoffs, and like you're in Pikes Peak, and maybe just because it is Pikes Peak, and no shame to Pikes Peak, but like like I feel like I'm barely like really in it, and like I'm kind of in it. Like my team's really whatever. Like I'm like the 7th seed right now, but like I'm like on the cusp of making the playoffs with like a win or two, and like I don't know, like it just doesn't feel as, it's just not the same. Like it's just not the same to get in. It kind of cheapens it. I think it's an easy cash grab to get everyone involved. You're in the playoffs, everyone's having fun. You get the bye weeks, which I get, but I mean, it's over time, it's not going to give you that like Jonah, you've won, Hunter, you've won. Like y'all know that Apex feeling when you win it all. It's like you fucking earned it. Like even if you just barely made it in, like as an 88 team, or like you barely made it, like
me.
like you barely made it in, but you fucking ran with it.
I crushed it every year that I made the playoffs, but I never finished. And then the one year that I fucking stumble and barely make the playoffs, I win it all.
Yeah, but you had a dope team and you fucking rumbled it, and like you blew my team out of the water, then you blew the other team out of the water. I was like, holy shit, like I was like, like he fucking earned that shit. I mean, like it's like
Apex we both could weeks do it. In the playoffs.
Yeah, we could do it. It would just be like, I really don't want to risk the integrity of like, I feel like we're all so invested in it. It's dope. It's super competitive because of that. But like, what's Hunter doing? I don't know, but that's my only thought is like, and I feel like it's one of those things that if we like entertain it and do it, like I would hate to like open like A&F, like I don't know, like let's say we opened up to 16 playoffs next year, we do it. We're all kind of like, oh, it's whatever. We change it back and like, I don't know, like Neil wins that year. And like then every year going forward, like, oh well, Neil, your fucking playoff win or your Apex win wasn't as worthwhile because you were given a fucking handicap.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So,
would you be open to that if there was an expansion and we went to 14 teams?
Holy shit, Kurt!
God,
what on the hot seat? The commissioner Jonah giving some great questions.
No, I mean, I'm in a 14-man dynasty league, and I mean, like it has to be 16.
You kind of have to,
like, I mean, it keeps the percentage of the league close enough. Like 6 out of 14 is close enough to 4 out of 12. So I mean, I mean, almost definitely. But holy shit, I don't know if I want to make it a 14-man league. I mean, we've already got like a solid 12-man, like 12 people who are invested.
It's going to be something that we're going to have to experiment with, where we create another league because, like, of course, we need more leagues.
Only Apex had ever made a 14-team league. What I will ask,
I am open. I am open to the 4 divisions. That has legs.
Sure,
and
there's a little intrigue to it. Yeah,
just having like 3 teams, you just battle it out, and the winners all get in. Like no wild card, just fucking. No salty wounds about being in like a tough division. Like you have to beat 3 people. Like fucking get over it. Like if you can't beat 3 people, then like go fuck
2
yourself.
people.
Like 2 people.
Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
You have to beat 2 people to fucking get the playoffs. Like
I mean,
maybe you land in a division with like 2 total scrubs, and like everyone like is like really salty about that. But I
Yeah, but if
mean, I
that's the
think that has
case,
more
then you're going to
legs.
lose in the first round. Like
yeah,
if everyone's
Exactly.
exactly,
like if you win,
exactly.
you win.
Yeah, that's what I
Exactly.
would much rather side with, Jonah. I think the 6-team playoff is interesting, but I personally wouldn't like it. And I mean, I've
Get
never
rid of the
even.
wild card, do 4 divisions. Yeah, I
Yeah,
get that.
I would
I like that.
prefer that to the 6-team because I mean I've never even sniffed playoffs, but like the goalposts moving. I mean, and I joke about it all the time about how you know the Jonah and Jack have the only non-kicker rings, but like there are some folks named Jack that have presented a thesis about how marginal Kern's previous rings are, and I feel like that's just that's
Chamberlain
another
wings.
goalpost right there. Um,
Look.
Yeah, and
We all know the Blair Walsh project screwed me out of one ring, and then I got screwed out of another one. But like the Blair Walsh one hurts the worst.
oh yeah, no. I mean, look, like the early rings. Look, like I'm happy I have a recent ring to at least tip my hat on. Like the early rings, sure, it was all fun and games, but we're all on the still playing field there. But that's the whole point of it is we're all still on the same playing field. Like regardless of if that league had Jerome or Cool Horse, we're all in the league with Cool Horse and fucking Jerome and Youngman. Like we all face those dudes. I just happened to kick
yeah,
more ass that year.
I mean,
And I mean, yeah,
the fucking first year I was in, I tanked. Like I think I was a 2-win team. Like I mean, so yeah, it was a
and
paid
this year,
league, and I
like
tanked
yeah.
for $50.
And this
Um,
year, the goalposts are moved again because it's the first ring with the 6 quarterback system. So I
yeah,
mean, how real
exactly.
is it?
Yeah, and I mean, so like that's why I would want to keep it at 4, just because that I completely agree with you, Kurt, about the integrity of the playoffs. But I also think both of the ideas are really interesting. If we are to keep the wild card, I really like your idea, Hunter, about making it the last remaining highest points 4. I think that's awesome. You can either just win and win your division, or if you just get really unlucky, then
Best
that's
team
what that wild card is reserved for the teams that got really unlucky and didn't
that
win their
has the most
division.
that has the most legs because that's like usually you can kind of see on the horizon like what's the next big topic of change, and like year after year since divisions, there's been like a lot of salt wounds and talk about getting fucked out of playoffs because of divisions and like just
Yeah.
missing the wild card because of this. I mean, like
Hunter's
this
idea
is
is very
something
good. Yeah.
enough people are going to get burned by divisions that it's going to catch legs. People are going to want to change it. So that's probably something that'll happen in the next 2 or 3 years. I think something like that.
Well, and now let me ask another question about maybe a future postseason change. This would be something we could pass, I think, with relative ease if people wanted to do it, and that is we're keeping the same schedule this year, and I know we haven't seen the results of the 18-week season yet, but I've discussed this briefly with Kern, but Hunter and Jonah again. I'd like to ask you what are your thoughts about making week 17 our championship week?
Yeah, I'm always going to be for more football. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, what are we doing right? I don't even know what we're doing right now. Are we doing week 6?
It's the same. It's staying the same. Week 16 is our championship week. So now there will be 2 additional weeks of regular season NFL football where our league is not competing. So instead of it being just the one additional week, week 17, where the league plays but our fantasy
Yeah,
teams don't, this
yeah.
year it'll be the 2 additional weeks.
Yeah, I think that second to last week of the NFL regular season should be our
The
championship.
championship. Sure. I
Teams,
mean, yeah.
are studs the last 2 weeks. It's typically really only the last week of playoffs.
Right. Unless it's a really weird situation, and those happened with the 16 championship anyway. So, and obviously, if something weird happens, because we haven't seen it happen yet, we, of course, can all change our minds if something weird happens in this week 17-18 setup. But I think that would be something, Kern, that I would personally like, just because I think Jonah said it best. For more football, it's an easy
So I
thing to get
totally
behind.
agree. I think
So
what I wanted to see, and I'm doing like so in my other big money league, it's a 12-team league, and we are going up until week 17 for the championship. So we'll see how it plays out there. But
Okay.
yeah, like I think we just need to see how contending teams do balancing workloads for players and stuff. Like, because typically we see the last game of the season they like rest starters, and I mean, who knows? Maybe like if the Panthers fall out, and they're like fucked. Like, they just got CMC back. What if they just shut CMC down for like 3 weeks? Or like, what if I don't know, like Nick Chubb, like he's kind of been hurt. Like, what if they like want to balance people's workloads towards the end of the season because it's like an extra game of carries? Like, what if the Cardinals decide to bench everybody because they're like blowing everyone out of the water right now? I mean, it's I want to see how that happens this year.
I lied. I do have something to say about this beyond what I said, and this has just been the narrative that Kern has been spreading since day one. I remember going all the way back to the founding of the Apex when we first started doing this.
This is excellent.
And we were cutting out week 15.
Wow.
Like, that was our championship, was week 15.
Wow.
And it was because Kern made this exact same fucking argument.
Wow.
In which he said that, the top teams, the ones that already have guaranteed number 1 seed, they got the bye, they don't give a shit. They could lose by 2 million points, and they're still getting that number 1 seed. Yeah, that's the case, but you're looking at that as if like the people in the playoffs are going to get screwed over because they had these elite players, and then out of nowhere they're not playing because they're about to go to the real playoffs. And you got to look at it this way, like, you just have to adapt to that. You have to have the good bench players. You have to have the depth if that's really the case. And it hasn't been because we switched to the 16-game season.
That seems to be working. Yeah.
And it hasn't been that big of a difference. Like, the guys that perform, they still perform. The only reason that they don't play is if they've got a tweaked ankle, which is normal.
Yeah. It would be interesting to look at Kern's.
Patrick Mahomes, who didn't play Week 17, you just need to roster.
Yeah, just adapt to that. Just adapt to that.
I need to adapt.
I lost out on a playoff. I lost out on a championship. You remember Hunter? I was playing Hunter in the playoffs, and I got so pissy because him and T-Lesh just they're ahead of me in the in the waiver wire.
Sounds like Hunter and Monstar adapted.
They were ahead of me in the waiver wire, and I didn't bid enough. I didn't have enough cash, and so I was screwed out. I had to use Jimmy G, and he scored 18 points, and I lost because I was playing with Carson Wentz.
My team is so historically bad at quarterback. I hear that a quarterback scored 18. I'm like, hey, that sounds pretty good.
Well, I was rocking with Carson Wentz, was guaranteed 27 points before we even bumped it up from 4 points a touchdown to 6 points. He was going off the year that the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Let me retort. I'll be 100% honest. I do not even remember when I said the championship was week 15. That probably must have been year 1 when I was fresh out of rehab. So if that was the case, then I apologize. I can't even defend that because I must have just been a green.
You had
little...
it was the same exact argument. You're like, last week of the regular season, none of the good players play anymore. It's like, okay, well then make sure your bench is filled with the backups.
But the problem with this year, and I think a lot of us agreed, was it's the first time in history the NFL's expanded their season, and it's because it's the first time in history, let's at least just we have a method that works. Let's just chill the fuck out and watch it.
Yeah,
I just want to watch it. You just never know.
Agreed. As
a whole extra game of 20 carries or reps. They want to manage their players. It's a lot. Players throw fits over having to fucking play a short week on Thursday Night Football. Playing NFL is a very
they shouldn't have
intense
voted
sport.
for the CBA. I think.
So I just want to wait and see. I totally agree with what you're saying. Week 15 was a heinous idea. If I ever did that, I apologize, and you can put me to the pigs for that. First off, I'll never think playing the final week of the season is worth it. I just don't agree that you should make your team be adaptive to Chad Henne and keeping AJ Dillon on your team because. Aaron Jones is being rested for the playoffs. I think it's ridiculous. I think it's total trash. I just don't believe in it. And I think most of the community also believes in that. But for this,
if that was the case, then why did we go to week 16 all these years? It was fine.
Very good question. Very good.
Because the last game of the season was week 17.
Well, yeah, but that's counting for buys. We still went to we finished our championship was the end of the regular season.
Yeah, Curd.
It was always week 16.
You're a bird. Hunter, I just got a text. I just got a text from Lippy, Hunter, and he said that your team is fucking horrible. and you should drop all your players and delete yourself from the league. Now, I don't really understand why you would say that. What are your thoughts on Lippy's comments?
I frankly don't understand where this hate comes from.
I mean, Hunter, let me ask you this. If you could say one thing to Lippman right now to try to bury these hatchets that are always aimed for you, what would you say?
I would tell him that I'm actively rooting against him going forward. I'm not even rooting for myself.
Just
I'm out.
anti-Lippy vibes.
I'm just strictly anti-Lippy. I'm pro everyone else in the league.
Even pro Jack.
Well, Jack's also out. Jack's team is even further in the shitter than I.
Even worse off. That's right. It's only 60 points off least points for.
Hunter, are you rooting for Jack to lose out and be officially 12th place, though?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I'm not even going to be shocked by that when it happens. Like, it's not even going to be. It happens.
Wait, Hunter. Sorry.
That really does need to get hammered home because I mean, and Jack, I'm sorry to keep ripping on you, but like I lost like the worst season I ever had. I think it was like when Emerson was still in the league. I think I officially was the 6th seed, but I still had like top 5 or 4 scoring. And last year I was like top 5 scoring. I can't recall any champion falling that far down after a fall off. It really was like LSU.
Let me propose a question to this panel again of our esteemed panelists of all being former champions. Is it fair to say that perhaps last year was a fluke? Because my first year in the league, as my keepers were OBJ and Marvin Jones, and I mean, I think I was a 3-win team, and even I 2-0'd Jack. I asked the question: is there an asterisk next to Jack's win?
No, the reason why Jack won is that Lippy got a trading bug, and he gave somehow Dalvin Cook ended up on Jack's team when there was the trade. I want to go back and I'm
Tyler Lockett and David Montgomery.
I want to see the history behind this if it's still there. Yeah, Lippy traded to A&F. No. A&F traded to Lippy. That was the original one.
Let's not talk about that trade.
Dalvin Cook for Saquon Barkley. Yeah, that one hurt.
We don't need to talk about that.
And then Lippy traded to Jack. It was Tyler Lockett and David Montgomery for Dalvin Cook and his backup. And it's like that does not make logical sense to me. Like, David Montgomery had a really good late season push, which I benefited from because Lippy had the trade bug. But there's no logical reason for the team that he had Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook. Like, in what world is that fair with Patrick Mahomes having an MVP season?
He had Derrick Henry that year for something absurd, though, too, right? I mean,
it was $25 for Derrick Henry.
Yeah, it was a beautiful pickup.
Yeah. He earned that, though. He did earn it. I mean, where credit is due, he blew everyone out of the water.
Let me ask a follow up.
He had Stephon Diggs with the Bills. Yeah, I already said that.
Yeah. Let me ask a follow up. If Lippy doesn't make that trade, is Jack a champion?
No.
Probably still. I mean, because David Montgomery was still good, and I mean, you have to go back and look at his season, dude. He beat the shit out of
Karen, you're kind of breaking up here. Hunter, you said no. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
I'm trying to be objective.
I think Jack would have had one hell of a season. I don't think it would have been the 15-1 that he did, but I think he would have had a hell of a season, made the playoffs, and he probably would have won anyways, even without Dalvin Cook. But once he got Dalvin Cook, it was like there was no team that could beat him, apparently, except for TLS, which was the weirdest upset of the year.
Which is awesome. That's so
He just beats everybody when no one wants him to.
Yeah, it's like he lost his taco. He lost his taco.
Didn't Monstar beat Jack this year, too? Yeah, week 5.
Well, I mean, this year
Jack did have
everyone but 3 people beat Jack. So, I think I'm one of the 3, so I can't really talk. But, everybody but
Jack
3
had
people
some good. He had some good seasons before last season too. He was always in the spring, but I do think that, I mean, when you win, we all, or 3 of us, know how heavy the crown feels, and you feel, it is quite a feeling. I think when he made a statement that he did, he definitely got cozy, and I don't know what I would be doing right now if I was 11th seed and second fewest points scored. Like that's like historically bad. Like I was in shambles when I don't make I'm in shambles when I don't make the playoffs and I'm not top 5 in scoring. I feel completely defeated and I think I'm like awful and it's horrible. It's happened once and I'm like,
Man.
oh, this sucks.
I can't imagine going first to worst.
Oh,
I mean,
I'm sorry, Bevo.
Kern,
It's the Bevo hate time. He's
Kern,
gonna love tuning
I
into
think,
this.
Bevo, if you're listening, I think you won it last year. Like, I'm giving that to you. You had a hell of a
Oh,
season.
he
I
smashed.
know Jack will be comforted knowing that Jonah, you do think he won it last year.
I'll give it to him. Yeah,
let's get some positivity.
even though
going.
he said that I didn't win mine because he got all butthurt because he was second in points for
Yeah.
the year that I won it.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to think about that. Maybe that's karma. Let's look at some keys to success for Jack bouncing back next year. How about everyone just goes around and gives Jack a little tidbit of advice for what they would do differently next year so he doesn't end up with this again?
Keep J.K. Dobbins for fucking. What do you get him for? Let's see. Keep J.K. Dobbins for $5, and I mean, make sure you lock in your fucking running back. Keep him, and I guess keep Javonte Williams because if he's a full-time starter, Javonte Williams for 39 is expensive. But I mean,
Melvin Gordon's doing really, really well, even though Javonte's coming up.
I know,
they're going
he's
to
done really
trade
well
Melvin.
too. But if Melvin's not there next year, like Javonte Williams does look really fucking good.
He does.
39 is a pricey Javonte Williams next year, probably. He's probably paying a premium at that point, but I mean, fuck. I mean, I don't know. He's held on from this long.
I didn't realize I got Melvin for $8. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, keep J.K. Dobbins. I mean, Mike Thomas. I mean,
no, you
gotta
let Mike Thomas
the Saints
go.
anymore.
I mean, the Saints don't have really a solid quarterback enough to make it worth it. Like
this piece of shit's gonna be 29, finally earning his fucking $100 million. Fuck him. But yeah, fucking keep J.K. Dobbins, Bevo, and then I guess just rewrite the book and get you some fucking good running backs and go back to the core values. Don't hold those fucking dollars in the draft. Be fluid. Change your plan. Don't fucking force all your money into mediocre fucking RB3s because you're out of money. Change it. Get some fucking beefy wide receivers. I don't know. He'll know what to do.
Hunter, let me ask you because I think that Jonah and Kern just kind of put on the soft gloves to handle Jack. Hunter, I know that you're a man who will always tell us what he thinks and he'll always speak the truth. Do you think that it's possible for Jack to recover from this season?
I mean, yeah, of course. He played pussy in the draft this year and got fucked. But his consolation, he's going to get to, keep J.K. Dobbins for whatever the fuck he got him for.
Yeah.
I mean now we're going to have a Thanksgiving. This is a bit of a spoiler for y'all. Y'all be the first.
Dobbins for $5.
We're going to have a bit of another Thanksgiving episode. Part 2 of the Keeper series is going to come out. Let me ask you this: by drafting all of these players that were already injured, and with his Week 4 trade with Lippy, do you all think that Jack started tanking in Week 4?
It looks like it.
Yeah,
I mean, that would be generous to say that he tanked, but you can't tank. I have the same record that Jack does, and I'm doing really shitty. And I say I'm tanking to save face, but to be honest, I was plagued by injuries in all the leagues that I'm in. If you look at my Lippy's league, the Apex League, Dynasty League, I have Henry, Akers, Carson, the Julio, Woods, all of them are on IR. It's ridiculous. And then this year, I've got Woods out, but I made some bad trades, and I'm going to take that L. The only good trade that I can say definitively is the one that I had with Monstar right before the trade deadline, getting rid of Russell Wilson, who's throwing up 5 points a game, for Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
But you just got to take an L.
You stirred his booty hole like a big bowl of chili with that one. You got Mark Andrews for fucking free.
Kern, let me ask you this: as the commissioner, can we get your official stance? Do you want tanking in your league?
I don't think there was a lot of tanking this year.
Kern, I want you to answer the question that was asked to you, Kern. Do you want tanking in your league?
A really cool video, and I appreciate all the effort, but really, there was no fucked up trades because honestly, I'm not gonna say who, but there were people who came to me being like, "Hey, what are the keeper situations next year? I'm kind of out in the outs. I kind of want to trade X, insert elite running back for this, because this guy's kind of not doing so hot. But I want to keep him on." I had to remind them, like, "Hey, man, like, there's no market keepers next year," and they're like, "Well, fuck, that changes everything." Like, I mean, like, I don't want to trade for, player C who's like a RB4 for a $5 keeper. Like, fuck that. And then no trades happen. I really do think removing the market keeper
All right, well, let's
pricing
move on to a separate topic
anyway.
here. Kern, let's get back to punters. What would have to happen to you in your life to allow punters in Apex?
All right. I can't sit on the phone with y'all all night talking about this bullshit. All right. I think we should talk right now, A&F, if you don't mind. Let's rank the final. Let's do like a top 5 ranking of top 5 remaining teams, seed them.
Sure.
Who's going to win this year?
Yeah. Let's actually, you know what we'll do? Let's cut the top 5 is a good idea. How about from each of us, let's get our top 4 that make it, our 3 division leaders and our wild card, and the team that just misses out. So Curran, get us started off so we can get the worst take out of the way.
All right. Well, look, I mean, bias aside, I'm the point leader. I know my record doesn't reflect it, but looking at all the rosters, look, I'm an objective man. I think I've got the best roster right now. I think I'm the 1 seed, just off paper. The unrealized gains 1 seed. I think you could put close between Lippman and Jihad. They're both really good teams. I think that the stack will give Lippman the edge. I'll give it to Lippy. So I'm 1, Lippy's 2, Golly's 3. I think that's probably God. It sucks, Corn, that you are 4-7 because I do think you have a really fucking very compelling squad right now. With fuck it, I'll give 4 to K Cole and I'll give 5 to Cornman, just based on rosters right now.
Let's get the playoff picture, Curran. So, are you saying K Cole's going to make
Dustin's
playoffs?
going to win. Dustin's going to get in.
Okay,
all right, so I'm 1 seed. All right. I'm 1 seed, Lippy's 2nd seed, Jihad's 3rd seed, and Dustin's 4th seed. I think on the outskirts,
Jonah is your sad man looking in the window.
I think so. It's gonna be him and K Cole just beating the fuck out of each other and barely making it in, which isn't gonna happen. But that y'all 2 are tied for my 5th.
All right.
I can't really pick one.
Let's close out that division. Jonah, give us your playoff picture and your man left out.
Okay, so I totally agree with Kevin Curran. I think that him being number 1 is fair. Like with Lockett, if Russell Wilson can get his head out of his ass, Lockett is top 5 wide receiver. Tyreek top 5 wide receiver, and then JT's definitely top 3 running back. I think JT should win the MVP. If he doesn't win it, there's some serious bias going on. Because the way that he's performed, I'm about to eat a couple of hot takes that I made right now in this statement. Last year, I said Jacobs was going to be better than JT. It was a close call, but JT won. I paid my penance. I think JT right now is probably the best running back in the league. And so with that being said, those 3 players right off the bat, I think Kern's the number 1. Number 2 has to go to Lippy. Lippy's always contender, and his team – I kind of want to look at all of Lippy's trades that he's made throughout the years and how many times he's screwed himself, but he's got a pretty solid lineup so long as his running backs stay healthy. And like I said, the team that has Stephon Diggs is going to win it. And number 3, I'm going to go with Jihad. I think Gali has a really strong lineup, and he's got the wins that I think the way it lines up, I could see Gali making it to the championship. I don't know if he'd win it, but I think he might beat whoever he's lined up against, depending on how it falls. And then Dustin, I like Dustin. All due respect, he's had a great run. His wins are there. He hasn't put as much points forward in order to really demand that he's going to do well. I think if Henry didn't get hurt, I think he's winning this league this year with his eyes
probably
closed.
Yeah.
And then the odd man out, I'm kind of looking through it. I'm definitely not going to say myself just because I've lost all hope. But I think the odd man out truly is kind of a coin toss between K. Cole and then I really want to say Timo. He had a really rough start, But if
So
Dak
unfortunate.
Prescott,
So unfortunate.
but like with Kamara being hurt, Patterson getting hurt, like he just had all of the players in line. If they stayed healthy, I think we would have all been in trouble with Big Timo.
Yeah.
But
litmus test.
my second pendant I'm going to take is that Najee Harris has not been taken out by a corner yet. We still have 4 weeks in which he could be. But he's truly proven himself. He hasn't been a touchdown scorer, but he gets yards, and like the Steelers' offense is tragic, and they run the whole offense through him. But I will take my slander back from all of you guys because James Conner is the number 8 running back right now, and I got him for $15, and that man has 13 touchdowns.
That's a
and
dangerous
is a
keeper. Dangerous keeper.
That's a dangerous keeper, but like he every time they've given him the lead start, he has performed. And I think you need to find a team that is going to just be like, fuck it, James Conner's not the best at practice, but he's going to get in the end zone.
Wow. Chase Edmonds is on my team, so he's going to be injured for the rest of his life.
But even when Chase Edmonds wasn't hurt, dude, like to your point, I mean, he still got 18 carries, 16 carries, he still got all the red zone carries. I mean, yeah, he was a solid snag.
Like talk shit about it. It's like, oh, the poor cancer kid, he's not going to do shit. And I was like, no, James Conner, what a man. Yeah. Whenever Hunter decided that Le'Veon Bell was the steal of the draft.
Wow.
And I'm going to stand by James Conner. I'm going to stand by James Conner.
Hunter, let me ask you for yours. Let's get your breakdown. You're repping the prediction committee from Helga's division. What's your 4 seed and your guy looking in?
Well, I think the playoff picture is pretty clear at this point. Golly and Dustin are. I don't think anything crazy is going to happen. They're both going to win their divisions. Littman's going to win his division. And Curran is he's gonna be our wild card for sure.
Barring him dropping these last 3 games, yeah, he's a wild card.
But he can totally fuck it up, which is totally in play too.
But I think Curran's probably got the best team in the league right now. I would definitely say that. So I don't think anything's gonna happen barring injuries for Curran to just fall off. But I really don't think it's gonna be particularly close for a 5th player.
It's the miracle looking in.
Is it you, Goon? You got 3 stud running backs coming back, or 2 stud running backs?
The answer to me is really simple, and I'm just going to jump in here. The answer is K. Cole. So he's got the bipocalypse of his stack this week, but that's absolutely. Let's say he
is playing Dustin, who's struggling a little bit.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not even totally ruled out that K. Cole loses this week. It's just not. It could absolutely happen that K. Cole does win this week. Probably not super likely, but it's possible. And then he gets all of the Cardinals back for his last 2 division games. So do I think that K. Cole makes playoffs? You know what? Fuck it. Everyone said the exact goddamn thing. I'm going to go ahead and make it a little bit spicier. Dustin, he's winning the division. Hands down, it's happening. And you know what? Fuck it. Dustin's my 1st seed. He's my number 1 seed. Dustin, he's my pick to win the championship. We're going with the people's champ. He's 9-2. I'm not going to start doubting him now. Dustin's winning. Probably put Lippy as my 2 seed. Golly is my 3 seed. I am predicting Curran have the most points scored and miss playoffs, and K. Cole will win the wild card seed and be the 4.
Oh, that's juicy.
Oh, and I'll be so happy if that actually happens.
So Curran is the one looking in. That's your 5.
Yes, he'll be sitting there with that little emoji next to points 4 at 5 seed. He'll be the king of the shit pit.
I think it's more likely that Jonah jumps K. Cole's team at this point.
Yeah, look, you've been hyping up K. Cole's team for so long, and I love K. Cole and I love his team. The stack of Murray and fucking Hopkins has not been that good since week 2.
He didn't need Hopkins. He needed Zach Ertz to beat Lippy. And he just came off a week beating Lippy. What do you want him to do?
His full starting lineup includes Christian Kirk and Emmanuel Sanders.
And he just beat Lippman's
Jarvis
team.
Landry.
And he just beat the Diggs Josh Allen stack.
I know, but that
with
was a
Christian
very poor
Kirk,
week of Lippy.
With Jarvis Landry, Zach Ertz, he had Emmanuel Sanders score 4 points. Christian Kirk, 3 points. And he still puts up 115. He's a 6-win team. What are y'all talking about? This is not a done deal.
I'm not. All I'm saying is that I think.
Look, I agreed. I did not put myself as the guy. I think that K. Cole.
And this is no disparagement to you, Jonah, at all.
No, yeah, I agree. Like, it's just not my year. And, like, CMC's not scoring touchdowns. He's still hurt. Like, I don't even know if he's worth keeping at the price that he's at, especially with them having no idea what they're doing at quarterback. Like, Sam Darnold was also a hot take that really, like, bit me in the ass. I thought he was going to pull something out. I think it's the curse of the Gase. Like, didn't you tell me the week that I interviewed that it's like Adam Gase's, like, estranged, like, nephew is the head coach of the Panthers now?
Yeah,
so it's like...
Yeah. All I'll say, A&F, is that if you think that I'm not going to make it, I would effectively have to lose out. And if I'm going to lose out, if there's a team that's going to win out, it'd be Jonah's team. And if that's the case, he's making it the wild card.
Look, Kern.
I just think that's all
I have to tell you is get ready for the consolation bracket. I'm coming for your ass.
3 fucking Cardinals players that are just being started.
Kern, I can't quite hear you. Can you speak up just a little bit?
I'm saying that if I effectively lose out, I go 7.